The Smith and Associates is a firm located in Unionville. Recently, a team conducted an audit for a discount chain. On part of the audit involved developing an estimate for the mean dollar error in total charges that occurred during the checkout process. They wish to develop a 90% confidence interval estimate for the population mean. In this case, the population consists of errors made in all customers' bills at discount change store in a given week. A simple random sample of 20 customers is selected with the following data. You can see here the dollar error in total charges for 20 customers. Positive values indicate that the customer was overcharged. So to build the 90% confidence interval estimate for the population mean, we use the 5-step model. First, we have to describe the population parameter of interest. We have to calculate the mean dollar error in total charges for all customers' bills. So this mean is our parameter of interest. Step 2 is to specify the confidence interval criteria. First, we have to identify the probability distribution and formula to be used. In this case, we have to use a t-test distribution. We have a small sample with less than 30, so our simple random sample is with 20 customers. And we do not have the standard deviation of the entire population. So, because the standard deviation is not given, we cannot use the normal distribution, so we use a t-test distribution. And after we have to determine the level of confidence, the question asks to build the 90% confidence interval estimate. Step 3 is to collect and present information. We have a sample of 20 customers. So first of all, we have to calculate the mean and standard deviation for these 20 customers. In this specific question, the mean and standard deviation are not given. So we can calculate the mean for this sample as the sum of all our values. So 0 plus 1.2 plus decimal 43 plus and so on. The very last one is 143 divided by 20. So if we calculate this mean, we have the value that I just put here for you, decimal 775. Of course, you can use statistical keys in your financial calculator to calculate the mean and standard deviation, or we can use the Excel function for average and standard deviation for sample. When we calculate algebraically the standard deviation, so once more we have a sample. So the formula for standard deviation is the sum of all differences between each individual value and the mean for this sample. So sum of all differences between each individual value and the mean of our sample square divided by n minus 1. So we can calculate as square root of, so will be the first value minus the mean decimal 775 square plus second value is 1.2 minus decimal 775 square plus and so on divided by n minus 1, so it will be 20 minus 1, so it will be 19. If you calculate the standard deviation, you have the standard deviation as 1.196. So right now we have the entire information regarding our sample of 20 customers. So we have a mean of decimal 775 and a standard deviation of 1.196. Step 4 is to determine the confidence interval. So once more we use a t-distribution and we have to read the critical value for t for a 90% confidence interval. When we read the T critical value, we have to identify a number of degrees of freedom. So once more, formula for degrees of freedom will be n minus 1. So we have 20 customers minus 1, so we have 19 degrees of freedom. Let's read the T from the T distribution table. So we have the confidence level, so we are going up to decimal 90, and we go down to 19 degrees of freedom. So you can see the value of critical value is 1.7291. Let's return to our first slide. So the T value, once more, we read from the table as 1.7291. And now we calculate the error. So the error will be the critical value for T times the standard deviation of our sample over square root n. So when we plug in our formula, will be 1.7291 times the standard deviation, 1.196, divided by square root 20. If we calculate this error, we have decimal 46. Now we use this margin error to build the confidence interval. So we add and subtract this error from the mean of our sample to calculate the upper limit of this interval, respectively the lower limit of the interval. So if we subtract decimal 46 from the mean, so decimal 775 minus the error, decimal 46, we have the lower limit of this interval as decimal 315. We add the error to the mean and we have the upper limit of this interval. So decimal 775 plus decimal 46, we have the upper limit of the confidence interval estimate 1.23. So step 5 will be to state the confidence interval based on lower and upper confidence limits that we just calculated. So we have decimal 315 to $1.24. It's a 95% confidence interval for the true mean dollar error in total charges in all customers' bill.